dressed up in racist costumes so many times he can't remember them all. Doesn't mean every single Liberal is a racist. Just because the Prime Minister had tried to help a corporation avoid prosecution after it stole from some of Africa's poorest people doesn't mean all Liberals are racist. Just because about a half dozen Liberal MPs who are racial minorities have complained about his treatment of them does not mean that all Liberals are racist. Exactly. That is guilt by association. Why doesn't the Prime Minister opt instead for personal responsibility?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I hope that I've been clear in all of my comments, that I respect the honourable colleagues on the other side, just as I believe they respect the colleagues that are on this side and the work that we do and the people that we are. There are times in our political discourse where we see things that are abhorrent, and all I would ask is that we equally call it out. When I saw swastikas on the street, when I saw what had happened, it's time to move on. And what I would ask is, instead of trying to inflame the situation, let us de-escalate the situation. Let us work together to find a way to stop the lockdown that is happening of this city, so that citizens can move forward with their lives and any legitimate grievances can be fairly heard.
The Honourable Member for Carleton.
Okay.
Here's how much the
What's a legitimate grievance? What's a legitimate grievance? Clearly, everything that is not get vaccinated for the rest of your life and go on welfare is an unacceptable view by the Liberals. Like, let's be honest. Like, so blackface isn't unacceptable. And why that's something that I've really appreciated about this becoming an international story, because now international news outlets can see how much of a racist hypocrite our Prime Minister is. It's like we've been so desensitized to this blackface thing and this virtue signaling about racism, Islamophobia, etc. All these things which are terrible. Okay, they are terrible when they're truly being perpetrated. They're terrible, but they're not something to be just floundered out for political gain, which is something that our politicians have been doing for us for the last, I don't even know, a long time, since this Liberal caucus since the Liberals have been in power. And the Conservatives are perpetually missing the mark by not calling this stuff out in fear of being trampled, in fear of this same white guilt thing. Like, I heard Peterson talk about how do we move on, knowing that we live on a land that was founded on bloodshed. How do we move on and reconcile in an honest way so that our guilt cannot be weaponized against us, and also so that we cannot fall victim to our own personal guilt about the situation, because that's what's being happened and it's being used for political points. And I hope Canadians are reasonable enough to see that it's all BS and we're getting played. And that's why I really appreciate that we're not just going to move past this thing about a guy who's been caught in blackface, not once, not twice, at least 3 times, calling people who don't agree with him racist. The same guy who has been saying to Indigenous activists which is a reasonable request, not wanting mercury in their water. Now we can talk about the logistics as to why that is, but still demanding or at least demanding that Trudeau keeps his promises, and he scoffs at them and laughs them out of events. This is the guy. This is the guy who's the standard of morality. The guy who literally ducks and hides everything. It's just so gross. Anyways, I'm glad to see that people are starting to pay attention and understand, how did we get here? How did we get this far gone?
I'd like to point out, though, that the Conservatives still aren't saying end the lockdowns. They still aren't saying
no, they're not
completely open the borders and let people fly without vaccinations. They're still sitting there, and if you bring up this freeze frame we have here, producer, they're still sitting there, all their masks. If you are able to pan to the left, you can see, I believe, Candice Bergen is double masked to Pierre Poilievre's right. Buddy in the top right there has his mask up to his eyes. So they're being so brave and calling out just this low-hanging fruit of Justin Trudeau being a moron, which is, or at the very least, a guy who doesn't know how to do his job. But are they taking off their mask and saying we're not doing this anymore? Are they saying open up the borders? Are they saying let people fly without vaccinations? No, they're not doing any of that. They're just going after the same old thing that they've been going after, and now that more eyes are on it, they're saying this is the best course of action, because what do they still need at the end of the day? They still need Twitter's approval. For some reason, they all want to be approved by Twitter. They still need to get approval from Liberal voters who will never vote for them. They want them in jail. The average Liberal voter wants a lot of Conservatives in jail. They want them to shut up. They want them banned from things. They want them censored. That's the average boomer on the East Coast. This is what they want. And of course, American Democrat voters too. The progressives, we'll call them. And the Conservative Party still wants to impress all these people. They're still afraid to take off their masks. They're still afraid to end lockdowns. And these are the people that I hope that, as you said, we're going to remember what they actually stood for the last 2 years, going on even further now.
Oh, hey guys, thanks for watching. That's a clip from our Rebel News daily live stream where we talk about the news of the day in an unscripted and interactive way. It's co-hosted at noon Eastern or 10 Mountain Standard Time by me on Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. And on Wednesdays and Fridays, we've got rotating co-hosting happening from some of our other on-air talent. So good news, there's something for everybody. We broadcast on YouTube. But if you want the full uncensored version, you're going to have to find us on Rumble, Super U, and Odyssey. And be sure to sign up for our rebelnews.com emails so that you never miss us when we go live.